Hello and welcome to the 5 Minute Film Club, and also welcome to the first part in my series called 30 Years of Horror. In September I turned 30, and as a huge horror fan I thought I'd go back to 1987 to see what horror films came out that year. And the first one on the list is...
Tomorrow we're having you for lunch.
But the best way to describe it is... Well, if we just roll the titles, then maybe... come back to me in a second. The first film on the list is Peter Jackson's zero-budget horror comedy, Bad Taste. Filmed over a span of 4 years, Bad Taste tells the story of a gang of aliens invading a small town in New Zealand, harvesting all of its occupants for meat to fund their intergalactic fast food business. But they didn't count on Derek. Derek is part of a government department in charge of stopping alien threats when they occur. Bad Taste is one of those films that's been on my list for years. I remember first hearing about it in college round about the time that Return of the King was out. And of course we know Peter Jackson went on to make Oscar-winning films, but it's very important to learn and to understand that Peter Jackson's roots are very much in horror. One of the reasons I've never actually sat down and watched Bad Taste all the way through is, first off, that it's very difficult to find. I mean, it was banned in Australia, I think, in some parts of Australia when it first came out. And also, it is body horror, and the genre of body horror is something that still makes me very, very squeamish. Anyway, Bad Taste definitely revels in as much vomit and blood Peter Jackson can make in his mum's kitchen.
Just clean it, but...
Bad Taste isn't a great film. When you watch a film like this from someone who you know would go on to write things like The Frighteners or, of course, Lord of the Rings, you tend to look out for things that show signs of a great artist at play. I mean, the storytelling here is incredibly muddled. I'm not even sure quite what the story is, other than the aliens wanting to mince us up and take us back to McDonald's in space, basically. I don't know really what's going on. But it's fun, because I used to make tiny little short films, remakes, I suppose, of things like Psycho. Yes, I was a strange child. And they would be kind of like your idea of what the film was, like all of the best bits, like scrunched up into like 5 minutes. And that's exactly what this film feels like. It feels like, oh, we need to do this, and then what if the house takes off? It's energetic, and it's as if a 5-year-old is telling you that aliens are in the back garden. But actually, the technical aspects of the film, aside from some interesting like dubbing work, is he manages to create an atmosphere that is incredibly claustrophobic, especially when you get to the actual aliens like holdout in this house. It feels like Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where I believe a lot of the kind of influences lie, especially one of the characters ends up in a pot, you know, that they're going to eat him tomorrow night, and the chef is wandering around with a chef's hat and things like it's little gimmicks like that that bring out the humour in the horrible situation that the people find themselves in. But also he goes for shots, like crane shots. He built his own rig to create crane shots that make, you know, sweeping movements across the scenery. And it's so interesting to see that with so little money but just 100% dedication, that Bad Taste came together at all. And interestingly, I think it's you look at the scene from The Hobbit, the first Hobbit film, and you meet all the goblins that are in the caves. And it is very reminiscent of a scene in Bad Taste. It feels slightly plucked from that. Maybe he's homaging one of his first works. Bad Taste is definitely an acquired one. I'm not going to sit here and tell you must go and seek out Bad Taste. But if you are a Peter Jackson fan, and you are a horror fan, body horror fan, I don't see why you wouldn't want to watch this. It is quite an experience. If you like Shaun of the Dead, especially the bits in the pub where everybody goes, oh, it stops being funny there. You know, Shaun of the Dead is still a horror comedy. The two go hand in hand, I think, sometimes. And I think with Bad Taste, Peter Jackson's mix is spot on.
I'm born again.
So that was the review of Bad Taste. Please tune in tomorrow for another review of a horror film from 1987.